Hello and welcome everybody. It is 10:30 on Saturday night. Welcome again to yet another session zero. This is our penultimate one. I love that word. Our last but one, and it is featuring Iona tonight. This is Iona is the one that people voted for against a different setting, and I'm quite pleased. I did make an error omitting it from the original choices. It's just me being stupid and not remembering it because it is actually uh, one of my favourite settings. It reminds me of holidays in Greece, and that is not a bad thing. Yes, Kieran, I am always showing off. Penultimate is it's a good word. I used another one of my favourite words in your Curse of Strahd game earlier. I wonder if you can work out what that is. In the meantime, welcome, viewers. We're going to test out the tech and go across to our live gaming scene now. All of that seems to be working. My webcam seems to have maneuvered, so I'm going to maneuver that down. Okay, welcome. It is Saturday night. Without further ado, we're going to go straight into Iona session zero. So the first thing, as we always do, is going to introduce the players. Just quick introduction so that you can meet them as real people rather than their characters. So I'm going to do this in order of people that have logged on. The first one is quite possibly a very familiar voice. Brooks 729. Who are you? Please.
I don't know who I am anymore. I have apparently some kind of split personality syndrome going on now. Um, I'm whatever you want to call me, Andy.
Wow, thank you
But
very much. That
mostly it goes by Stuart.
Stuart, okay, that has gave me an awful lot of sort of free reign there. We'll see how you perform tonight. Welcome once again. It is always a pleasure. You are a light in my otherwise very dark days. That sounded terrible. Um, my days are not dark at all because I get to play games all day, and Saturdays are one of my very long days. So, welcome, Stuart, and we'll move down. And I'm just introducing you by your handle, so you can introduce yourself properly. But Elsie Kedro, welcome to the stream. Do you want to quickly introduce yourselves?
Sure. Hi, I'm Kedra. Keddy for short, if you'd like.
Excellent. We've spoken online in Discord and stuff, and I'm really pleased to have you joining our game. It's always good when I've not run things before for not new players, but players new to my things. It's really rewarding and exciting for me and mixes things up. So very big welcome to you, Kedro. Welcome
Well, thank
aboard.
you. Happy to be here.
Excellent stuff. Then we move to Quinzel123. Welcome again.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Sarah, and you may remember me from Court Five Thunders. Today I'm going to be building Aurania. You may know me from Discord as Yig, unless I obviously change my nickname when we're gaming.
Welcome aboard. And spoilers there, announcing which character name you're playing. Not that that's a bad thing. Um, and then we go to finally Andy. There's not a lot I can say about your handle. Your name is the same. Welcome, Andy. Do you want to quickly introduce yourself?
I'm Andy, as Andy has just said, which isn't going to get confusing at all. I've played in a few of his games, but it's my first live stream, so this will be fun.
Yeah, welcome aboard. So what we're going to do tonight, again. I'm sorry if this is a little bit repetitive to those of you in the stream, but I think repetition is a good way to learn things. Certainly for you, the viewers, if you're not familiar with Fancy Grounds or some of our new players, we're just going to go through how to generate a character quickly, first level character for this setting. We're going to introduce the characters, get a little bit of flavour for them. Sort of session zero, not a full-on session zero. So the first thing you as sort of players need to do is to ensure that you've enabled all of my content that you can access. Fantasy Grounds does this super sharing of content, so I've got an ultimate license so I can share all of my player content with my players. So the way that you do this, if you look at your virtual tabletop, to the right hand side of the screen there's a load of sort of buttons. Right at the bottom is a button that says library. If you click on that, that opens up the library page. Now, if you want to access all of the virtual tabletop buttons, this is just a quick thing to do. At the top of the library page, there's an all button on the top right hand side. If you click on that, that just gives you access to all of the buttons, which means if you need to add things later on, you can kind of see what's going on. But to access the content, you go completely to the opposite side. You want to go to the bottom left hand side of the library page, and there's a little button that says modules. Click on that, and that opens up all of the content that you can access from my Fantasy Grounds. So you need to click on the little load buttons to load all of the content. If you know specifically which books you need to generate your character, you can just click on those. If your computer is good enough to handle, you can go crazy and access all of the content. So whilst you're getting all of those downloaded, I'm going to quickly move across to creating a character. Particularly you, Andy, because I know that you're new to Fantasy Grounds. Did you follow that very rapid description?
Yeah, got the everything loaded in that I'll need.
Sweet. That, I mean, it's really good because it does take time. The next thing that you need to do is again close all those windows down because you don't really need them once you've loaded it. Back to your virtual tabletop, and right at the top is the PC button, with the little knight. If you click on that, that opens up your character wizard, and you can see all the characters in there that are ready for not just this campaign but the Untold Chronicles campaign. And what you're looking for is at the bottom right hand side, there's a blue circle with a little star, and you hover over that, it says open character wizard. If you click on that, it opens up the character wizard. If you've downloaded all of the content, you can easily and quite rapidly create a character. In character generation, you don't overly need to worry too much about inventory, spells and feats for the moment. But you do need to get your background, class, stats and race sorted. Obviously need to enter your name, choose your race. The one thing that I keep mentioning, because I don't know whether it's just me, but it's the thing that I found very, I couldn't find initially. It is the stats. If you click on the stats thing, it opens up by thing obviously I mean button, because I'm a professional announcer. It opens up select a method for determining ability scores, and you see it says standard array by default, but if you click on that little drop down menu, it gives you options. The two options that are available for this campaign is point buy and standard array, so you can choose those, but that's how you do it. I do get to press, because I do this every stream, dice roll, because I like to do that, and there we go. Wow, that is much better than last night when we were doing Gardens of Shidaklar. I managed to roll all tens apart from a 6. It was unbelievable. So take your time, work through and generate your character. Now, I always mention this as well. One of the key features of Fantasy Grounds I really like is the fact it's just like creating a character with pen and paper. If you make a mistake, it can be easily resolved and corrected, so you never need to feel, oh, I pressed the wrong button, I have to start all over again. You can rapidly do what you want. If it's not really showing you the numbers it should be showing you, we can easily adjust them, just as if it was pen and paper and you could rub it out and write over it. It is very, very useful. As we've got one of our very first characters loaded up here, and we can see that the image is from Hero Forge, we're not particularly sponsored by Hero Forge, but they have very kindly allowed us to use their images in our streams. I'm going to quickly make an announcement about it. The legal stuff I'll read, and then I'll just waffle on about how awesome they are as well. So many of the character images are designed using Hero Forge in Untold Chronicles. It's a wonderful way to create your own custom miniatures and get them 3D printed. You can find them at www.heroforge.com. Please note, anything mentioned on the stream may not represent the views or belief of Hero Forge, a Sky Castle Studios LLC production. And a big shout out to them for saying that we are able to use their images. It means that we can create these wonderful pictures that are very representative of the characters in the game. And it's awesome, good fun. I know many people already, members of our community and friends, that go across to their website and they spend hours choosing the exact kind of miniature they want. And I'm certainly of the understanding you can just buy the file and get it 3D printed yourself, so you don't even need to wait to get it sort of shipped. It's a awesome tool, great website, and they've been very generous about allowing us to use their images. So thank you very much, Hero Forge. You are legends. Right, one of the languages you need is missing from your list, but I should have the content load. That's fine, because we can, just as I said earlier, Sarah, we can add it when you join us. Really easy to do, and I'll go through that. In many ways, thank you very much for not including that language, because it allows me to demonstrate how to add a language. And we'll come on to languages when you get that, because languages in Fantasy Grounds are super cool. Right, we've got a ton of viewers tonight. Thank you very much for joining us. I really mean that. If you've got anything that you want to discuss in chat, shout out and we'll try and answer some of your questions as well. We are speeding through these session zeros of character creation now. It's great to see everybody's together. And as I say, we've got Ionia tonight, Shadowless tomorrow, and then on Tuesday we start. We start with the smoke. Ooh. And it is the Untold Chronicles. I know that Stuart is super excited. And I don't blame him. So am I. It's something that I've kind of played around with the concepts before, a number of campaigns that are all sort of linked with an overarching sort of story. It's been done through the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they have become the masters of such a thing. But that said, it's something that I've played around with sort of pre-cinematic universe as well, and it's a very neat idea. And if you look at all the characters that we've got at the moment from all the different other campaigns that are all in the same game world, you can suddenly start seeing that we've got a whole host of talent and heroes with different agendas, and it's going to be incredible to see how they all begin to interact with each other. Don't get too excited about that. We need to build up story first. So
need to survive that long.
Yeah, I'm not a GM that seeks to kill characters, but characters do die.
Freud disagrees.
Well, no,
He's been having terrible nightmares recently.
They are only nightmares. They are only nightmares. But we will see. We will see what happens. Part of the skill and part of the challenge is whether people do survive. And as I say, some campaigns will be more dangerous than other campaigns. But that doesn't mean that there won't be character deaths. But without that challenge and excitement, it doesn't allow you as players to become emotionally involved, and even the viewers. Will people live or die? And there are certain moments when it could happen, and it's exciting to see where the stories are going to go. And I like doing open dice rolls because that variance of the dice allows the dice to help tell a story. There are people who don't like that, which is totally valid. They say that things shouldn't be so random, and that the GM should have agency to fudge the dice rolls. Yeah, I mean, GMs do have that agency to do it, but it's quite nice to roll them openly and then work out together, GM and player telling a cooperative story of how these things play out. In my mind, it becomes more immersive how we're going to use the variance of the dice to tell a cooperative story. As you can see up here now, we've got our characters beginning to form here. How are you doing, Andy? I know that it's new to you. Are you finding it okay?
Yeah, I think so. I'm onto the inventory now. For some reason, my class is telling me that there's something missing, but I'm not entirely sure what. Oh, wait, expertise. There we go. It
There
just
we
took
go.
a while to load it.
That's okay. It does take some time. Okay, so with that done, I think the next thing that we're going to discuss is character sheets, which we've done on these other streams before. If you're new to Fantasy Grounds or kind of learning, this is how a player fundamentally interacts with everything else within Fantasy Grounds. Really, really useful. So first and foremost, because it's often overlooked, especially with my poor communication skills sometimes, you have your character sheet and you see there are a number of tabs on the right hand side of the character sheet. When I indicate you need to go to your skills, I'm probably talking about your character sheet skills tab, which is on the right hand side of your character sheet. It's easy if I say it's on the right hand side for you to think I'm talking about the buttons on the virtual tabletop. So the first thing to point out is your character sheet does have all of these tabs, and I'll discuss what is going on with those in a minute. So the main page of your character sheet has your character's name, your proficiency, the class that you are with your level, background, race, your ability checks, your saving throws, senses, passive perception, your armor class, initiative and speed, and then your wounds, max hit points and temporary hit points. The wounds is how much damage you've actually taken. So as that goes up, when it hits the 13, it means that you unconscious and dying, which is where the death saves come in. To make a roll, what you tend to have to do is just double click on one of the numbers. So that is a strength ability check. I'll change the dice color to that to make it easier for people to see on the stream. If you want to do an initiative roll, you double click on that. It's fairly straightforward. If you want to keep your initiative so you can hotkey it without opening up your character sheet, you can grab the dice in the corner, bring it down to this hotkey bar here and drop it in there. So even without your character sheet open, you can just click on that now and it will just roll initiatives when you need it. So hotkeys are really useful for information. There are that's interesting. I mean, hopefully that's not physically blow up, because
I'm worried already.
that'll be the shortest lived
no, that would be the
character.
artificer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that'll be the shortest lived character everywhere. It's like, really, you should have worn a better shirt today. Yeah, that's a new character for you. Sorry, I don't know whether you
Although
can.
it's a good idea of showing what you're talking about. If you double click on something, it will roll.
Yes, it will indeed roll everything for you. Um, so there are a couple of the other functionalities or other buttons that you use in Fancy Grounds that are kind of throughout the whole of the system. The first one is kind of these shields here, these brown buttons with the silver dot. Um, when you click on these, it opens up the information that they are revolved around. So, for instance, it tells you all about this race here. And it saves you having to go through all of the virtual tabletop buttons or looking it up in a physical book. And you can manipulate these. You can drop them in your hotkey here so you can access them. And you can even drop them into chat if you want to share the information with your other players or the GM. So those are kind of information buttons. Wherever they appear, you can drag it down. There are maps that have them that you can drag it down to your hotkey and save the map, and there are images as well. Pretty straightforward, really. The other type of button are these things here, which I think should be looking glasses that I quite often mistakenly call hourglasses. Look nothing like an hourglass. That is just me. Or to stop me calling them hourglasses, I started calling them tennis rackets now. But if you click on these, unlike the information buttons, they open up a new page normally, or a new dynamic for you to manipulate information within the game. So this is combat calc for this character here. And for instance, if this was a monk or um, a barbarian whose speed would increase, you can modify the information here to increase the speed. If, for instance, they had the feat that gives them +5 to initiative, this is where you can put the information in. And these tennis rackets are dotted around your character sheets that allow you to manipulate that kind of information. And it's a good way of not home brewing it, but being able to ensure you've got the correct calculations, because sometimes you just don't. It doesn't work like that. But you can always change the way that happens. So that fundamentally is your main page. This here is your hit die, and you can, if you are taking a short rest and you want to spend your hit die, you grab it. You need to roll it in the chat box here, because if you don't roll it in the chat box, no one sees what the dice is. So for instance, if I take this d6 and roll it there, it rolls. I can see that it's got a 5, but it doesn't appear in the chat box. If I do it here, it shows everybody what I've rolled. You can, if you want, roll multiple dice. You can choose all of these here. So if I just wanted 2d4, you can click the 2d4 and you've got those. But if you left click, you roll them. If you right click, you start adding. Oh, lots of dice, and everybody likes rolling dice. So you can add dice for whatever else you need and roll it and do 90 points of something or other.
Make your players really worry when they just see a load of dice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I managed to roll an awful lot of ones there as well. Carrying on with character sheets. Again, any of you that are generating characters at the moment, feel free to interrupt me if you've got any questions. We can then go to skills. This is the skills sheet. Pretty straightforward, really. The numbers in this totals here are what we do to roll your skills. So it's skill acrobatics. It shows that you have proficiency in that. Yep, shout up with your question.
I have two actually.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what we're doing.
So I was trying to be clever and do my inventory, and I remember that there's a way of choosing a pack and getting it to unload, but
Yep.
I've tried bringing a pack across and it has not unloaded.
Right.
So I don't know what I'm doing with it wrong.
That's okay. The thing that we've kind of uncovered, and this is probably where I make a mistake, you open up your items, which I'm sure you have, And if you put in, I'm assuming you're talking about your priest pack.
Yeah.
If you put in priest pack, that's interesting because, all right. Do you have, if you search for priest pack, do you have multiple options?
Yes, I have three
Aha.
options.
My thing is that if you go to your inventory now, I'm going to show you how
Mhm.
to delete an item. If you right click where it says priest's pack,
On my inventory.
yeah, on your inventory, if you right
Yeah.
click on there, you'll see that it opens up a radical.
Yeah.
And if you see the little dustbin that is about, I don't know, is it 7 o'clock, something like that?
Yeah.
It says delete item. You've deleted the item. Now, what choices of priest pack do you have? Player's handbook, I'm guessing.
Yeah, basic rule players
Yeah.
and 5e SRD data.
Yeah, I think the basic rules and the 5 SRD data just give you the basic one because it's not paid content. I think if you choose the one with player's handbook, drag it across like you've done with the other items, it should hopefully unpack it. There we go, you see.
As if by magic.
Yeah, so it's not like you did anything wrong. It's just that there are basics, and then there is the paid content. You get a little bit of extra, and rather than you having to type out all of the information separately, it just does it for you, which is really useful. So hopefully that's answered your first question.
It has. Awesome. I've forgotten how we import a portrait.
Okay, I can talk you through this as well, which is also quite good for you, Andrew, if you don't know how to do this. So if you go to your main character page on your character sheet,
Yeah.
you see that there's the little black square in the top left hand corner rather.
Yeah.
If you double click on that, or just click on it,
Yeah.
the first button right at the top says folder.
Mhm.
If you click on that, it takes a moment, but it'll open up a computer page screen
Yeah.
that says, hopefully, Smiteworks Fantasy Grounds Portraits.
It did right up until the point where I moved to the folder that has my picture in it.
It should still be probably saved on your bar below. I don't, unless you press the X button to close down that page, it should still be open somewhere.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
And all you do is you drag
wait.
your picture across to that.
Okay. And then close it.
Yeah, then close it. So you basically put that picture more or less into it now. So you then click on your portrait black square again.
Yeah.
And then instead of clicking folder, click refresh.
Yep.
And then if you click on data now, it should hopefully open it up and you should see it's there.
Yay.
And then by just doing that, it should magically appear. There we go. It's a little bit fiddly, but once you know how to do it, you kind of know how to do it. And then we've got that amazing picture of you. Awesome. How you doing, Andy?
Yeah, I've somehow managed to lose the Hero Forge screenshot because I'm smart and know how technology works. So I'll just go with one of the
You're downloading
generic
for?
ones for now and fix it.
It's up to you. I mean, it'll probably be when you say, have you brought it into the system?
No, not yet. I've there we go.
You don't know
One
where
of these is the correct one. I've got two. One of him lying flat on his back, which I think I'll save for the inevitable.
If you don't know where it is, you can bring it from Discord if it's in Discord, because I did that earlier on.
I've found it now. I just need to now remember the thing that Andy was saying because I was
That's
looking.
okay. Multitasking, and it's quite difficult when it's just audio and not visual. So if you open up your character sheet at the main page,
Yep.
The top left-hand corner, there's the black square where it says portrait.
Yep.
Just click on that. The top button then says folder on the page that the
Okay.
portrait thing has opened. Can you see that?
Yep. And I just want to drag into that.
Yeah, drag into that. And then you have to open that page up again and press refresh. And then you can open up the bag and it should hopefully, by magic, appear there.
Magical.
Well,
There we go.
technology, but
Yeah, no, it's, well, I mean, I like to think it's magic. To me, it is magic. So, one man's technology is another one's magic. Just because you know how
Yeah.
it works.
this
Doesn't
is
stop
just
it
like the
being
art
magic.
poster, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Look at that. Well, we've got all our characters now. This is good. So I was just discussing sort of skills, which I think we've covered. The one thing that you can be aware of is if you click these stars, it turns things into proficient, double proficient, half proficient, and no proficiency. A magic missile has gone off already.
Oh wait,
Okay, then we move to abilities. This is where we're going to come on to languages as well. So this lists your feats, your features, your traits, your proficiencies and languages. Now what it doesn't overly do is modify your character sheet. You have to understand, a bit like pen and paper, that if you've got a skill, sometimes you have to modify it yourself. So for instance, fighting style, it gives you all of these fighting styles here. Because it's telling you have all of these, a choice of all of these fighting styles. When you choose which one you want, you have to make those modifiers within Fantasy Grounds itself. We did uncover, I think today, that there are various commands that you can put in to make that even easier. But coming
can't tell
down
me
to
that now after I've already done it.
coming down to language, well, I mean, if you've done it, you've kind of done it. But I think we were talking last night about something that you can't just do, which was great weapon fighting.
Yeah.
So when you roll a 1 or a 2 on damage dice for an attack, you can choose to re-roll the dice again.
There is a link on the
Yeah.
Fantasy Grounds Unity Discord channel that has details about how to do that.
Exactly, and that's what I was talking about. That it magically appeared on Discord.
It's weird that happens, isn't it?
I know, I love it. I really do. But languages are very cool in Fantasy Grounds. It makes languages come alive because you have this little bar down here that allows you to select a language that the NPC or the player is speaking in. And
this is a little bit interesting here.
Is it?
Because my character can speak a language that's not in that list.
Wow. Best of luck with that is all I can say. We again, there might well be a way of doing that because I would imagine it's a relatively
there
easy.
There is an option for it under. If you go to the options, you get languages, and you can add it in there.
Yeah, so we can make that work. Did you manage to sort out your languages, or have you got another one to be added, Sarah?
I haven't managed to sort it, so I had to just kind of choose one to be able to finish the character wizard.
So
but I need to swap that out.
Okay, so which language did you not want?
So
sorry.
Elvish.
So Elvish. Elvish you don't want, yeah?
That's right.
And what language do you want?
I want Leonine.
All right.
Leonine, however you say it.
Another language that
we can have secret conversations.
Secret conversations. So it is. I'm going to do this for you, but it is literally as easy as deleting that and writing it in. And I can't, as we've just discussed, prove it that it works due to the fact that it doesn't exist in this. But you can both now speak that language, and you no longer speak Elvish. So you are all sorted. Excellent stuff. So that is abilities, inventories. Hopefully, has everybody managed to sort out their inventories?
I think so.
Yeah,
think so, yeah.
just kind of looking at these here for everybody. It's looking good. Yeah, Lucius here has done a tremendous thing as well. It's very clever again. You don't necessarily know that this is a functionality, but if you look at your inventory, you can see that it has a name and location. And if you put in location next to certain items, it will list them underneath that that item. So, for instance, we can see that all of these items are now in the backpack. Works even nicer if you've got something like a bag of holding, so you know what's actually in the bag of holding. It's again a really cool sort of functionality of kind of sorting your inventory out. It's something that you don't necessarily need to do, but it does indeed work. I don't know whether there is a sort function, but it doesn't seem to be working for you, which is making me wonder whether your backpack is functioning properly.
I might have broken it.
Yeah, but it does work. I've seen it work multiple times. But the inventory is useful. It's obviously got your items here, and whether you've got the items equipped or whether you've got them carried or whether you're not doing anything with them. Your treasure here is all about just the coins that you've got, and something that we kind of use softly rather than massively enforced is encumbrance as well. We don't want paperwork to slow the game down, but if it's getting silly, then it's something nice to have the information there to go, well, I don't really think that that is going to be possible.
It's fine. I carried the cart and the horse over the river, and there wasn't a problem.
So that is good. You can certainly try that. I very much like the idea of the bridge collapsing underneath you, but we'll see how that goes. Then the final page of any note, I've kind of skipped past that, which I shouldn't really. So you've got your notes here, which is great for sort of role playing. You don't necessarily need to follow it out, and it doesn't necessarily do anything other than remind you of Bond's flaws, and you can edit it as if it is pen and paper if you want to do there. There you go. He's added in hi chat. So that's good. Drake Takes is helping us. You can add that language to the list. Click the options button and gear top right, and on that window click languages bottom left. Let us see. So let us click the options. Languages bottom left. Look at this. Look at this. I'm guessing edit list. I'm guessing add, and we can do this. The thing that I need to do is ensure I spell it in exactly the same way that you have spelt it, because if I don't,
It might not work as well.
well, it will work in a different way. Stop it. So let us have a look. Look at this. There we go. That works nicely. Thank you very much, Drake. Really appreciate that. That is very useful to know. Like I say, it's an amazing system. You just need to know how you do it. And I've certainly got used to the editing list and adding items and stuff like that. And I'm learning all of the time. So you can set up a script too, which we'll get onto. By a script, I'm assuming you mean kind of font, which is super amazing. But I really appreciate you taking the time to help us out with that, Drake.
Could use the same approach for something like Thieves' Cant as well.
Yeah, no, I
I
mean,
was just wondering if Thieves' Cant works with it.
well, it will do
Not that I
because
speak that or anything.
No, because that would be a rogue's thing, and
Exactly.
I mean, fundamentally, what
I'm
we
clearly a rouge.
what we know now, and I'm going to have a massive play around with it, is I can put kind of any kind of language in there now, and I can do Brummie, and yeah, I'm going to have so much fun with that. No, that's an amazing piece. I'm glad I sort of were paying attention to chat then. Big thumbs up to you. That is really useful to know. So anyway, I got distracted by that. I am so easy to distract, especially on a Saturday and Sunday, because
It's almost like you've gradually wound yourself into a point where you just don't know anymore.
either I don't know anything or I just see it all, and it's all coming out of my mouth at the same time.
Have you managed to get to a point of seeing the Matrix?
Possibly I have penetrated the Matrix.
Wow.
Make of that as you will. So the log, I mentioned this. If you play Adventurers League, I think this is kind of what it's designed for. DCI number is the way that Wizards of the Coast kind of record the sessions that you play. The faction, I'm assuming that's for like the official factions of Adventurers League. Things like the Zentara, the Harpers, Force Grey, and the like. But we don't do that because I go off-road far too many times to be able to constrain it to AL content. Then we move to actions, and this is about as equally important as sort of the main page. Here is where everything really happens when you do your actions. A little bit dull on Stuart's page at the moment. He hits
I
things.
do apologise.
He hits things and he
Got a sword. What more do I need?
grants disadvantage. Look at that. God. Anyway, it's super exciting. I'm really pleased to see his character again. And he's got claws. Look. Rawr. He's got claws, which are +5. That he's kind of not homebrew, but programmed this in himself so that he can do a claw attack. I again mentioned these. You've got these things here that you can sort of move through. You've got sort of melee. You've got thrown. You've got primary hand, secondary. Sorry, not secondary hand. Two-handed, offhand, primary hand, and it changes the details.
The longsword's probably a good example of that one.
Yeah, so like if we all know a longsword, because again, if you don't know what a longsword can do, you can click on the old shield here and it tells you. But it's this thing here. The property is versatile and it's 1d10. Versatile means that you can use it two-handed or one-handed. So if you look at this, it's not doing the right damage if you wanted to use it two-handed. It suddenly, if you decide you want to use it two-handed, it changes the damage there. Another nice, neat function to speed up combat. It's very, very cool. And then below here, if you are a wizard or cleric, you've got all your spells down here. I'll have a look at the other characters for the moment. But you can also set up various abilities that your character might have. And then you can use them in the combat and the combat tracker to transfer. For instance, this, you put the effect on I believe an enemy and it will grant disadvantage, so the enemy will automatically roll with disadvantage when that effect is on it, which is again, it kind of means that players and GM don't necessarily need to remember everything because you've got things set up. Really, really useful, great fun, and I'm loving it. If we kind of look at a different character, so for instance we have the cleric here. The cleric has all of these spells listed, again still with the attacks, and as mentioned before, the little tennis rackets here, they show you what you can do. So bless, fairly straightforward. If you're casting it at first level, you target 3 individuals. It can be your enemies if you really want to, but traditionally it tends to be your allies, and you can click on this and it puts the either attack 1d4 or save 1d4 upon them. Lasts a minute, 10 rounds, and it does all the dice rolling for you, which again is super. You don't want your companions to forget they've got an extra d4 in their attacks or saving throws, and it just does it for them. You can't say better than that, really. Look, it's a cleric, but with magic missile. Wow. I need to remember that. That's Trixie, that is, or either Arcana. So that's your character sheets and how you kind of manipulate the game. For those of you in chat and for our players, there are 2 other kind of important buttons that you'll be using quite a lot of the time. If you close down your character sheets, at the top of your right hand side of your virtual tabletop, you'll see that there's a little cross swords button, and then there's a little sort of group of people with an eye. This is your combat tracker, and this is your party
Why is
sheet.
Bud still in the combat? What are you planning?
I'm not planning anything. I've just left him in there from last night. Oh yeah, I'll get rid of him. I've got another character of yours to
Oh no. Why did
do
I
stuff.
say it?
So yeah. So the combat tracker and the party sheet allow you to again see information, both players and GMs. So you kind of load the combat tracker up by doing that. You can see that all your characters are there now. So if you in Fantasy Grounds, the players click on combat tracker, you'll basically see that open up, and it'll show you just your characters at the moment in there. If you all want to go to your main page of your character sheet and press initiative, you will be rolling initiatives, and it will automatically, because you are in combat tracker, tell you what initiatives you are going at. So hopefully, if you've opened up combat tracker, you can kind of see your initiatives now. If there was an enemy about, boom, boom, boom.
Why do I feel like you saying that is somehow foreshadowing of something that might just magically appear here?
Well, it is not so much foreshadowing, but demonstrating. I think is the
That's
exact
probably a more
word.
accurate way of saying yeah.
Oh look, there's an alligator. Surprise, surprise. Now you can as a GM do one or two things. You can get as soon as the NPCs go into combat tracker, have them automatically roll initiative. You can choose all the NPCs to have group initiatives, or you can down here control the initiative, and you can sort of force rolls for NPCs. So the alligator has just rolled a 2 for initiative, and it's in here you can kind of see what is fundamentally going on. So it's an important thing to realize you have combat tracker as well as watching combat unfold on the battle maps. The other thing, as I was saying, is the party sheet, which is the little people with the eye. Very similar to combat tracker, you need to make sure you've got the right characters in the party sheet. Now, myself as a GM can now look at all of your statistics all at the same time. So I can tell that Lucius and Bilios has a 10 strength. I can see armor classes, I can see senses and the like. But for players, you can click on the inventory tab, and if there's anything for you to find, I can put parcels of items in the inventory, and you can see what's going on with them. So, for instance, a popular item from today's Curse of Strahd game was they found a bar of soap. So it seems that Frioz has stolen that soap so that no one else can actually work out what they need to do with it.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I just saw an item and grabbed.
You saw an item and grabbed, but it has perfectly demonstrated that by grabbing the brown button, you can drag it across to your inventory, character sheet, and put it in your inventory. But likewise, you as players can take things out of your inventory and put it into the party sheet, and other characters can put them into your inventories instead. As always, you can click on the little brown button as well and see what it is. At the moment, soap, 2 copper pieces, doesn't weigh very much. It's adventuring gear. What I can do as a GM is hit this identify here. I don't know whether that has changed the name of the item for you as players.
Unidentified item.
Yeah. So this is important because I can choose when making objects to change the names of it. So you might see something saying dull shard of metal, and then I could in the correct description put exactly what it is. And you might be thinking, oh well, I'm not interested in that, we'll leave it, but it could be something of great interest for you. So again, another sort of very cool functionality to allow me to show you the kind of items you could pick up in encounters.
Luckily, Lucius has pointed out that he does have identify there, so we will be able to work out that.
Oh, absolutely. And identify, I mean, identify is in there, and we can click on it and we can see what it does. It's a spell that I am only too familiar with. You as a starting character, I'm sure you spent 100 gold pieces on a pearl. Oh, you don't have 100 gold pieces, do you? So you've got the spell anyway.
If we took all of the money off every other character, so what we need to do, guys, is we
it's
need
a
to go to
heist.
all other locations.
So yeah,
Money? What money? You guys are starting with money?
well, you start off the money in your background.
Yeah, I've got my 15 gold, but
Yeah.
they don't need to know that.
There we go. You see, so yeah, you do have identify. You just need to get 100 gold piece pearl, and off you can go. But if you do have it, you do have the ability to potentially cast it as a ritual. You do have the ability to cast it as a spell slot as well. So it's a very useful thing. One important thing to remember with identify is whilst it identifies an item, it doesn't reveal whether an item is cursed or not. Something that I only learned a little while ago, really, because they hide that information in the. You would have thought they put it in the spell identify, but they like the players to think that when identify is cast, that they know all about it. And no, it's hidden in the back of the Dungeon Master's Guide under identifying magic items. So that is an interesting thing as well. I'm sure as you come together, you can easily save up for a pull to rapidly be able to cast that spell. So I think you've heard enough of my voice for the moment, so let us pass it across to the players. First of all, did you follow all of that information? Are you happy and comfortable with your characters at the moment?
Yep.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, that's great. Yeah, absolutely. I just wanted to double check. So this part of the show, this part of the session 0, we're going to do character connections. So like I say, I don't know whether you've had huge amounts of time to chat amongst yourselves about what kind of connections that you have currently got. This is going to speed up the process because the episodes that we're running are only an hour and a half long, and certainly for the first one, I don't overly want it to just be this is how the characters got together. It'll be quite nice to start with a little bit more of a bang and how you kind of seem to sort of know each other. So does anyone particularly want to start first? And by first I mean tell us of a different one of the other characters and how you currently know them, for good or bad. Anybody want to go first? Any volunteers? The silence is golden.
Oh,
I'm assuming you're all. I mean, if you haven't got connections, I
we've
could.
not really had much of a conversation. I don't think in any depth about it. I think we were going to.
Okay,
But
so we'll do what we did last night. I don't want to potentially force the issue and put people on the spot. So sort of just an opening scene. You don't have to be all together. Um, it's something that I like to do because it really helps me with my visual cinematic of what's going on. Is that if this is very much kind of like the opening scene of a movie and the camera sort of pans down, just introduce your characters to the viewers and the chatters. We'll start off with you, Firoz. Is that how we're pronouncing it?
Feroz.
Firoz. Okay, we'll start off with you. What the camera pans down to your form. What are you doing? Who are you?
So he's most likely in one of the local taverns in the back. He's spent the evening having in the
Tavernas, I think, is the thing within Ionia.
okay.
It's
And
all
he's
about flavour.
oh yeah, and he has gone to have a few drinks after a fairly successful evening in the pens with the gladiators there, and he's feeling quite happy with himself. And yeah.
So what do they see though? What does he look like?
Oh yeah, that might be an important feature.
They see that he's there, having been successful
There is
and
somebody
boozing.
who's been drinking. Yeah, I mean, what more do you need to know? So it's possibly worth mentioning that he is Leonin. So he's this quite tall, fairly ginger-maned lion, kind of humanoid lion, and yeah, he's quite dressed up in gladiatorial gear. He's got his shield and his long sword, and he's very polished outfit. It's quite a bit of show, but he does know how to use it.
Perfect. So a gladiator, really, in the Colosseums. It is very much showtime in Ionia. It is that there are those that are forced into service within the gladiatorial tournaments, but there are those that do it for the coin as well. I'm guessing you are the latter.
After he's bought his freedom, he is now.
Yeah, perfect. So that is yourself drinking after a successful day of scrapping in the arenas. So we're just going to work from right to left. How are we pronouncing your name, Sarah? Is it Urania?
Aurania.
Aurania. That's okay. I've got that now. Aurania, how does the camera perceive you?
So probably when it looks down on me, I would be in a building. There would be a low, long stone table, probably some big columns. I would be probably one of several people there dressed similarly, predominantly in black. It would be the twilight hours, the changing between day and night. And those sort of black garments would be supplemented with kind of red belts and sort of accessories, if you like. I imagine that she is surrounded by kind of incense and smoke, so it's quite a kind of difficult to sort of see past them, quite mysterious kind of environment. And she's probably elbow deep in entrails of some animal in some kind of trance, trying to divine some future.
Very nice. Very, very Ionian in description there. Then we move to, are we pronouncing it Lucius?
Yep.
Okay, Lucius, how does the camera perceive you?
Would likely be at the family domus, scion of the family, a kind of noble background. More than likely overseeing kind of the training of family gladiators, though doing so from afar, sending servants in to do the actual chats.
Yep,
Um, Sickly in appearance, almost emaciated, long white hair, leans heavily on his staff and just kind of barks orders as much as he can between kind of ragged breaths.
perfect. So your family are associated with sort of the tournaments, the arena. Is that
Most certainly.
yeah, okay. Well, that's good. That is obviously I think we can all see potential sort of there. Excellent stuff. And then we finally move to, is it Bilius? Or Bilus? Bileos?
Bileos, I think
Bileos.
Bileos, Bilius.
I
There
don't
are
know.
many different pronunciations.
How
Um,
does
Depends how much you've got to drink.
how do they
uh,
pronounce it?
Bilios.
That's okay. I was right the
Um,
first time.
but if you call him Billy, he might get angry.
Okay, I see what you've done
Got to
there.
make a note of that one.
Okay, Bilios, how does the camera perceive you?
So we're probably going back to the tavern where we left Firoz, and you'll see on his way out in a perfectly not his own choice manner, scuffling with a couple of the bouncers, amphora in hand, shouting something about not being a goat before being kicked out onto the street. I think would be how you'd see him. He's sort of olive-skinned, curly brown hair with curled horns poking out. Very much your typical satyr. Not wearing much in the way of armor, just sort of a bit of a leather breastplate, a quiver at his hip, and a short stabbing sword on the other side that seem well worn, but not particularly well used. If that they're old, they're not the best of equipment,
Okay.
and usually found with an amphora of something in hand.
Okay. So I'm beginning to get a feel. We have to say it'd be quite good to have at least tenuous sort of connections to speed up the process of session ones between you. So I take the liberty to perhaps suggest a few things. You can obviously veto them or change them if they don't fit in with your character ideas. I mean, obviously, Bilius and Firoz like a drink. So, would it be too much of a stretch to say that you are certainly acquainted and have visited many tavernas and wineries together on and off, even if it's just a case of seeing each other? Or is it something that Bilius would do would be to perhaps promote and um, flatter Firoz to have a very strong-looking drinking buddy by his side?
Yeah, I think if Firos is happy with that would
Yeah.
definitely be something Bilius would like to have. Is that sort of extra protection.
Okay. Um, I mean, I've not really. I mean, satyrs, which is obviously your class. Um, I would say they are perhaps uncommon in Ionia, but not rare. I've not really. I think, to my mind, they perhaps would be seen on the whole as a race of um, sort of uh, uh, bacchanalianists. They like to have a good time, and this in itself is sometimes really appropriate when the festivals but in other times perhaps not. So I kind of see the Ionians as a general have a sort of love-hate with them because they They seem to be the ultimate party animals, but at the same time, sometimes depending on the festival or whatever, it kind of needs to be toned down a little bit.
Billy, I've told you about turning up to a funeral like that.
The wine was free. I don't know what you're talking about.
I had to drag you out of there before they attacked you.
Ah, they just wanted hugs and dances. Let's go dance.
Oh, you can go dance, I'll watch.
I think that is perfect. So a nice connection there between the two of you. It is up to you how deep or how you how you want to sort of follow that up. But it's a nice link between the two of you. The next very straightforward one, I think, is between, so that's Bilius' connection to Firoz. I think Firoz' connection to Lucius. Lucius' family owns. I mean, again, I don't want to put words in your mouth here, so I'm going to let you have narrative agency. What kind of gladiatorial noble's house is it? Are you doing well? Is it doing bad? Is it in trouble? Are you seeing glory days? Do you need new talent? Do you see Firoz as potentially a threat to your house or potentially an asset? All of these kind of ideas are jumbling through my head. But you have agency with this, so Lucius, let us know what
Well,
you think.
let's say the family house is doing poorly, going kind of out of business. Maybe Firaz was priorly one of our fighters that was able to buy his freedom, and we've been on the slump ever since.
Okay, interesting. So, are you perhaps formulating some kind of scheme or plan to claim former glory for your house by trying somehow to attract him back?
Oh, absolutely. Have to have him back. He's the star of the show.
Wow, I mean, you're bigging him up. I mean, let's not go too far at the moment. No,
Let's see how the dice roll.
that is brilliant. That's just me winding Stuart up, which I need to stop. Wow, not really.
I doubt
Um, no, again, I think that is another very, very strong connection. Um, but I kind of want to flip it in terms of Bilius knows Firoz, Firoz knows you, Lucius, and um, was a member of your household. He's brought his freedom legitimately, and now to you're trying to get him back. And we are in the world of Ionia at the moment, so this is one of the few places within the Untold Chronicles that the gods are a bit cheeky. They literally love to hang out with mortals. They're constantly taking various different forms, not necessarily showing who they really are. It is one of the few places within the Untold Chronicles that you could be rubbing shoulders with a god at a local tavern, which means that the priesthood are most definitely revered and seen as a way of directly, sometimes literally directly communicating with the gods. And what you need is something to help you get Firoz back. And whether it's maybe an augury or whether it's maybe a blessing, you have been um, looking at the local temples and deciding what is the best way. And again, I'm just throwing this out there that this is maybe the connection you have with Orania, Oriana, or how
Aurania.
Orania. I'm just gonna Oray. Wait now, Orain. I've got it now. I've got it. The pronunciation. How does that sound between the two of you? What kind of priest are you? What kind of priestess? I don't know which kind of gender specific name that you would prefer to have. Is this something that you would look into or try and do? And if so, what would the cost be?
You mean in terms of my goddess?
Yeah, in terms of your goddess or something else, is that connection to seeing um, this noble house and this noble family is suffering, and they want to turn the fates in their favor. They want to, get a god or a number of gods as patrons. They need some divine help. It never hurts to have the gods on your side.
Absolutely. I think from my point of view, in terms of the goddess that I follow, I kind of think that certainly a family of good standing who kind of comes to you and is perhaps interested in trading something that's not just coin, favor, owing the temple of favor, that you can call on them, or the goddess can call on them at a later time, would be quite in keeping. They would be able to potentially offer you um, unusual means to sway things in your favor, perhaps, that other gods wouldn't be able to do so readily, perhaps. I think that might be quite interesting. Yeah,
Perfect.
certainly.
Is that, again, I don't want to take narrative agency from you, the players. So, um, Lucius, is that something that you might see that your character slipping into in perhaps desperation, making deals? I mean, it might be best for Aurania to let you know which god they worship before you sell your soul to some random. um, but which god or goddess is it?
My goddess is Hecate,
Yeah, cool.
Nope,
who is
that
about
works out perfectly.
crossroads.
Yeah.
Yeah, magic and crossroads and things like that. So from my point of view, auguries for a family who are at a crossroads where they are in dire need, and the changing of their fates is in the balance, is kind of very much, I think, within her interests.
I think it works perfectly. Are you happy with that, Lucius?
I am, being that Hecate is the appropriate goddess of magic. She'd
Yeah,
be the same goddess that I follow.
perfect.
And I also took the magic initiate feat, so I have a little bit of cleric, so might be going to that temple more often than not.
I think we have it. That is beautiful. I think that is, it's connections, which means you kind of all know each other. It depends how much you want to invest in how much you know each other at the moment, but um, absolutely, I think that ties everything together in a wonderful sort of way. Are you all happy with that as players?
Yeah, really happy. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Indeed.
Excellent stuff. So I can do the quick. I've closed it down, but I was playing around with it before. Whilst we were talking about it, I just need to find it. So here we have the brilliant thing by Jam Hands, the Untold Chronicles Ionia set of players with their wonderful Hero Forge sort of pictures as well. I'm really looking forward to this one. For those of you who are unfamiliar with this kind of setting, it's very much kind of Xena, Warrior Princess, Hercules, the legendary journeys. It is kind of Marvel Comics, Hercules and Thor. Um, it's this small set of Romano-Greek islands and landmass and Byzantium kind of feels to it, where literally the gods hang out, and the gods have their own agendas, but they also, some of them, like to party. I'm very, very excited for this setting, especially as it is the Untold Chronicles, so it'd be interesting to spend some good time set in Ionia and then see these characters go beyond the realms of Ionia into the rest of the world and see how they can make their way there too.
Walking around asking where your nearest god is.
Yeah. What do you mean? No, absolutely. I'm very excited. So the very first session of this will be in a fortnight's time, so not next Saturday night, but the Saturday after. Um, and now that we've got some character sort of connections, feel free in Discord to chat amongst yourselves. Anything else you want to flesh out. And yeah, I am really excited. So we've got that, and hopefully, if we open up these characters here now, we've just added 4 more characters to this a very big retinue of characters. Say our final one is tomorrow night, which is Shadowless, which is our version of the Underdark. Very excited about that as well, and we'll be doing that from 10:30 to midnight again. And then, as we've mentioned earlier in the stream, we kick it all off the Untold Chronicles proper on Tuesday night with the smoke. Exciting times, everybody. Exciting times. So I think we've got about 15 minutes left. Is there anything you in chat want to ask? And is there anything that you as players want to add to it? Feel free to shout up. I'm just going to have a quick look at the chat just to see if there's any questions that I need to answer. We've had a whole host of viewers, so that is good. So yeah, Insomniac is saying didn't introduce your character properly. It's absolutely fine. Characters will take on life. Yep, you'll be doing character descriptions in session 1 and everything else. It's a long time between session 0s and session 1s, a whole 2 weeks, and it's going to take a little while for people to get used to characters. So don't worry too much about such things. I will do a big shout out to Hero Forge again. Hiya Jamans, thank you for lurking.
Jamhans has been rather busy. He's just added all of the pictures onto the wiki.
Wow, so that is something else I need to mention. I'm pretty sure that, yep, look at that magic that Stuart has called up the link to the wiki. This is something that the community is really working hard at, in particular Jamhands, about creating this wiki. So as the world unfolds before you, we can keep adding information, so you'll see the Untold Chronicles, the world basically grow as fundamentally I make stuff up. You know, I haven't got the entire information of the entire world sorted, and there's reasons for this, because it's all about narrative agency and player narrative agency. It's really cool for players to suddenly start, just like we've done tonight, go, yeah, my family's business is working in the gladiatorial arenas, and our business is failing, and that agency now, it kind of feels like, oh well, why are you doing that? You could have said that you were really important and rich and you got all the best gladiators and everything else. But it's a far more interesting story to see your house rise again with the help of these other characters. You know, I mean, it sounds very much like it's all of Firoz's fault that this house is doing so badly, because he decided to buy himself out and leave. Um, I'm already thinking of probably about 8 to 10 different reasons how he managed to buy himself out and who is particularly behind it, and some very cool sort of streams and story ideas that we can uncover. Got Noe where we're drinking in the Untold Mile. Absolutely,
We're going to have
wizard
to be
stuff.
documenting all of the pub names into the wiki.
Indeed, there will be a lot of different pub names, and I do like my variances of pubs. And one of the really nice things about having different settings is, just like I mentioned about tavernas, it should have a different feel in each setting, so you know what you are doing. And as Jamhan says, drip feeding bits over a number of the sessions. Um, Absolutely. Yeah, the Noodle Lady shop doesn't exist even. This is a different setting, Gerb House. Um, you know, everything that has happened before in those other campaigns are similar. But this is the world of the Untold Chronicles, and I have a complete agency to chop and change. But the three valves in the smoke from Masked does exist, because Masked is part of the Untold Chronicles, and we'll be covering the next session of that next Tuesday as well. Poor Stuart has got a 3-hour stream in Masked and then an hour and a half stream in the smoke game.
I don't feel so bad when it's you saying that, though, Andy, considering that you'll be doing that as well.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be running a session Tuesday afternoon as well. So it's all good. I'm so excited to see, because it's not just me, and this is part of the fun. It's not me saying, um, this is the world that you're in, and this is how you have to do things. It's me saying this is a sandbox, and I'm here to guide you and put things in your way so that at least things happen. But you also have an invested interest in the story, and let's make it as interesting as possible. Um, Kedro has kind of mentioned in the chat here as well, and really appreciate this. He does say follow, subscribe, and share. Bring your friends to all of the fun. If you are enjoying this, please, yes, all of those things if you can. Following is free. Bringing your friends is free, but if we can get the viewer numbers up, it allows us to open up more emotes and all sorts of things like that. And what is incredibly important is subscribing as well. You can subscribe for free if you've got Prime, and it just gives us a little bit of revenue to allow us to improve equipment and the like. We really appreciate it. We've started doing Twitch subscriber perks, which is very much a mouthful, across on our Discord channel, and we'll be increasing all the kind of things that we can do there, whether it's guest spots in some of the streams that we're doing, or voting for the next thing that you like to see, or creating NPCs that are your favorite NPCs, etc., etc. Bits of fun, but a way of saying thank you um, to subscribing really and supporting the community in the stream. So yeah, thank you very much for mentioning that, Kedro. Sometimes I forget. I feel somewhat kind of awkward and embarrassed. It's almost like, oh, please help us out. But I do need to remind to say it, because it does make a big difference. You are all wonderful people, and we couldn't be doing this project, and it is a community project with all of these games going off. Cold Steel, I mean, like I said, you're a subscriber, absolutely. So I know that you can't commit because of your job. Cold Steel does a tremendous job, but it means crazy different shifts. Um, but as a subscriber perk, we might be able to do guest spots and stuff, so people like yourself can jump in and take part, and you can kind of keep up with the wiki, so at least you know what's going on, and keep up with the video on demand, so you can see what's going on. So I don't want you to feel that it's a complete blank for you. Um, so there are options.
A
Sorry.
little reminder, Cold Steel might be worth just making sure that you've connected your Twitch and Discord accounts.
Yeah.
There's details in the announcements how to do that.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why I have voices in my head to remind me of things. So many voices. As Stuart said, you do need to sort of link your Twitch account to your Discord account. It's relatively easy to do, and there is a link in our Discord for how to do it. If you don't know where to find it, just drop me a message on any of my social medias. Maybe not tomorrow, but certainly Monday, I'll be catching up with everything, because tomorrow I have a super amazing day. I have Nottingham by Night, Modern Knights vampire game, followed by, I believe, Icewind Dale, Dungeons and Dragons, followed by Ghost of Saltmarsh, D&D, followed by Call of Cthulhu, Beyond the Mountains of Madness, followed by this live stream with the Shadowless. So I'm not going to be doing very much else than running games tomorrow. But the good job is that I have a day off on Monday, so I can catch up with all of the information over the weekend. Yeah,
It's only what 13.5 hours that you're doing tomorrow.
something like that. Like I say, if people don't remind me, it doesn't seem so bad. It's only about 13.5 hours you're doing tomorrow. These voices in my head that keep reminding me kind of make me go, oh my God. What I've started doing, Miss Blackthorn, is, I don't know whether you noticed, but my posts on Discord say it's Saturday. So every morning that I put my posts of good morning, I actually announce what day it is so that people can actually see there and remember what day it is, because it's a good reminder for me as well. It really is. Anything else? We've got the last few minutes of tonight's stream, and we've had a tremendous number of viewers tonight, and I really appreciate everybody hanging out. One quick thing that I don't really need answers on at the moment. I know that I've just gone on about how busy I am and all the hours that I'm doing and everything else. So this is going to sound counterintuitive and complete madness. But I am thinking about doing a little bit of streaming during the daytimes as well. But the way that the kind of mechanics and the metrics of Twitch work is that if you don't get it, it kind of works over a month's worth of average. So if you kind of live stream and you get really few viewers, it kind of brings down your metrics. And it's kind of counterintuitive to live stream if you're trying to reach certain levels and not have viewers. So I'm just wondering how many people out there would like me to live stream during the daytime, and how many people could at least tune in, even if they're not paying it their full attentions. So it's just something to bear in mind. I'll probably make more sense about that when I am not so tired. But it's something that I'm thinking about. No, as long as people are tuning in and we've got a certain number of viewers, it kind of makes it viable metrics wise. And obviously the streams would be video on demand, and hopefully it'd be useful information as well. It wouldn't be just, well, it is me, so it could well be just random nonsense, but sometimes random nonsense is what we all want. I quite like a little bit of random nonsense sometimes. Okay, so once again, we've had a great audience tonight. Thank you very much for all of your questions. Thank you very much to all of you players as well for listening in, for creating your characters, and for listening to me ramble on for the last 20 minutes, really, without talking about our game. I really appreciate it.
Thank you as always, Andy.
Yeah, no worries.
Cheers, Andy.
GM Andy, that is.
G-
Although thank you to Andy the player.
Absolutely. So if you, the players, just want to hold on, I'm going to say a quick good night to all the community, and then I'll have a quick chat with you in a second as well. So yeah, thank you very much, everybody. Don't forget, we'll be back on tomorrow night from 10:30 for Shadowless. Looking forward to that. See you all later. Thanks very much for tuning in once again. Take care. Stay safe.